Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing brakes, or should I say front brakes, on a 2006 Ford Taurus, which is my vehicle. It started a while back squeaking. What happened is the brakes were squeaking for a while. And what that is the low patch sensor is hitting the rotor and it's making a squeak noise, which is there to tell you that, hey, you're going to need brake pads soon, or some brake work. And I just ignored it. No big deal. But yesterday on the way home from work, it was grinding like really bad. We all know what I was gonna say, but I didn't say it. Being good. It was grinding really bad, so today I'm gonna go ahead and get that fixed. So I picked up 2 new rotors and a set of brake pads. So let's get out there and get that done. We have to get this caliper, or brake caliper it's called, off of the vehicle. There's 2 10mm bolts here, one up top of the caliper and one on the bottom of the caliper. Now, before I take this caliper off, I'm gonna go ahead and push this piston all the way in. This is the piston right here, and that's the brake pad. I'm gonna use a screwdriver to push this all the way back. All right, so we're gonna get that screwdriver in between that pad and the old brake rotor and get that all to go back in. Okay. See how much room is in here now? She's pretty much all the way back as far as she's going to go in. All right, now we're going to take these bolts out. I'll start with the bottom bolt. All right, now the caliper should slide right out of there. Now you don't want to let the caliper hang off the hose because these things are pretty heavy. You don't want to put any pressure on these holes if you don't have to. So there's 2 things you can do with these. You can tie them up to something, or you can just, on these, you can just hang them right off the strut. Be careful they don't fall on you, but they stay there pretty well. All right, next thing we do is we're going to remove the brake pads. It should just slide right out. Wow, look at that. There's nothing left on that pad. It's metal on metal. I think I got my money's worth out of these. For sure. And there's the outside pad. It's pretty damn low also. Now we got to get this brake rotor off because obviously it's all grounded down over here on the inside. So to do that, this bracket has to come off. 2 15mm bolts on this bracket, here and here. I'm going to use obviously I'm using air tools, but if you had to, all you need is a socket and a wrench to get these out. It's not a big issue. You can do this by hand if you wanted to. As you've seen, once the bolts come out, this thing just drops right out of there. All right, now we got the rotor, and it should just pop right off. Just like that. And as you can see, it's been, it hasn't been grinding for too long. It just started on the way home, so it was right on the point where it was ready to go. So there you go. I was going to replace these rotors anyways because you can see they're all rust pitted. It's not even worth turning this down because the rust pits are too deep and you wouldn't be able to save this rotor. And for the price, you're just better off putting a new rotor on. That's just my feelings. Now before I put a rotor on, I clean the hub as best as I can and get rid of some of this rust, or most of this rust. I do it with my die grinder. A little sandpaper would probably help. What you want to do is make this hub, this part here is called the hub, right, with the studs on it. You want to make this as smooth as possible, so when the new rotor sits on here, it's nice and flat against the hub. I soaked everything down just to get some of that dust out of here so I don't breathe it in. Wear a mask if you're gonna clean this stuff up with a die grinder or with anything really. Get as much rust as you can off of there. Same thing with the areas on the caliper where it mates up with the pads and the bracket itself. Any area where everything mates up, make sure everything's good, clean, and ready to go, you know, so everything mates up nicely and there's no issues. Brand new rotor, what you want to do is get the oil off of there. Comes with a light coating of oil so that it doesn't rust while it's in storage. You're going to take some brake clean. I don't care what brand it is, they all work the same. Spray a good amount on the rotor. Then you're going to take your rag. You're just going to wipe it down. Do the same thing on the other side. You can take your rotor, you're going to put it right on the hub. Just like that. Sometimes you can put a nut on here just to keep it in place. And that'll keep the rotor from falling out on you while you're putting the pads on and stuff. I'm going to use what's called brake and caliper grease. And I'm going to lightly coat with the pads right on. I don't like using a ton of grease because I feel that it attracts dirt. So the less grease you have on there, the better off you are. All right, so that's greased up. And go ahead and put the bracket back on. You're gonna get your bolts and you're gonna tighten it all down. Right, these, you slide them out and check them. If they're rusty, if the grease looks bad, clean them up and then re-grease them. I'm just gonna wipe the grease out of here. Doesn't look bad, but I'm gonna go ahead and put fresh grease in that. These you can be liberal with because they're protected by the boot, and it's good. If these boots are torn, you're gonna have to buy what's called a hardware kit for your brake system. It comes with new boots. And you just work them in there, work that grease in there. Make sure these are called the slides, are nice and loose and they slide back and forth and there's no extra play in them. I personally like to use ceramic pads. They're a little bit more money than metallic pads and whatnot, but they're not that much more expensive. They give you better stopping power, they can handle the heat better, and they don't squeak. I haven't had any issue with ceramic pads squeaking on me. They've been a great pad. And these, I got the higher quality one where the shims come with it already. I do not put grease on the pads because I don't believe in that. I think all that's gonna do is attract a lot more dirt. And I've seen it over the years working on cars. There's no reason to grease your pads. If you get a good quality pad, like a ceramic pad, with the shims on it, you shouldn't have any issues with these things. So you put your pad in there. Pretty simple on the Taurus, right? The one thing with these are anti-rattle clips. They keep the pads from rattling inside here. If this caliper piston is not all the way in, you can take a C-clamp or a large pair of pliers or something and push it all the way in if you couldn't get it in like I did before. And make sure your clip is up here. This is part of the hardware kit. If you were to buy a separate hardware kit, it will come with that. I'm not buying a hardware kit. That one looks fine, not replacing it. Now what you gotta do is you slide this right over everything, push the slider pins in, and get the caliper right over that. There we go. Can't be hard to line this up because you got the anti-rattle clips. Sometimes you gotta put some pressure on the caliper to get it down in there. And then you just line the pins up with the bolts. Once you got that down, you're going to tighten these up. caliper, bracket, rotor, pads, everything is actually in place, and get the wheel back on. And that, my friends, is how you change the front brake pads and rotors on a 2006 Ford Taurus. Most of the Ford Taurus, I want to say 2000 to maybe 2007, they're all the same. Might even be higher than that. But they're all pretty much basically the same setup here. I'm not sure about the fairly new Tauruses. I haven't had to work on those, nor have I done any research on them, I'm not gonna lie to you. But the older Tauruses, they're all pretty much the same. And yes, it's that easy to replace brake rotors and pads on a Taurus. You all take care, God bless, and I hope this is helpful. Bye-bye.